The Harry Potter series is filled with heartbreak and death, but what makes these deaths even more devastating is something that most fans don't often think about: the characters' ages. Some beloved characters barely live to see adulthood, dying in tragic ways, but on the flip side, other great witches and wizards got to live out a full life and were ready to depart when the time came. Today I'm going to go over how old every Harry Potter character was when they died. We'll start from the youngest victims and end with those who witnessed decades of magic, and some of these might shock you. Now, just to be clear, I am only going over characters whose age we know. There are other characters that died whose age we do not know, and I'll say that again for those in the back. If we don't know a character's specific birth or death date, they are not on the list. Don't be that annoying person in the comments. If you enjoy this video, please consider liking and sharing. It will greatly help to grow and sustain the channel. And if you like what you see, hit that subscribe button, and you can also follow me on all of my other social medias, all of which are linked down below, and all of which house similar content that I make here on this channel. Now, let's get into it. I'm going to break this video up into age categories, so we'll start with characters that died in their teenage years or younger. Hedwig. The youngest character to die in the series wasn't actually human, as Hedwig died at the age of just 6 years old. She died during the Battle of Seven Potters when hit by a killing curse while in her cage. The film changed how her death played out though. They instead had her die while protecting Harry, which I actually far prefer, and that's rare for me that I like something from the movie better than the book. Ariana Dumbledore. Ariana was the youngest human character in the series to die. She was born in 1885 and died in 1899, meaning she was only 14 years old. She was of course tragically killed during a duel between her two brothers and Gellert Grindelwald. Myrtle Warren. Myrtle Warren, aka Moaning Myrtle, was born in 1929, and she also died at the age of 14 when killed by the stare of the basilisk in June 1943. She was the only victim of the Chamber of Secrets that Salazar Slytherin had created to kill every Muggle-born in the school. His plan clearly didn't work as well as he had hoped. Colin Creevey. Colin was born in 1881 and was very close to being 17, but he died before he reached that age. This meant that he died at just 16 years old. He was killed while fighting in the Battle of Hogwarts on May 2nd, 1998. Though he wasn't of age, he snuck in to help in the fight, and this turned out to be one of the deaths that affected Harry the most considering how young he was. Cedric Diggory. Cedric was born in 1977, and he grew into a popular, handsome, and well-liked boy. However, he was tragically killed by Peter Pettigrew on Lord Voldemort's orders on June 24th, 1995, leaving behind a father, mother, and girlfriend. He was only 17 years old. Regulus Black. Regulus, Sirius's younger brother, died an unsung hero in Lord Voldemort's cave while trying to destroy his Horcrux. Being born in 1961 and dying in 1979, Regulus was just 18 years old. Nobody ever knew how or why he died until Kreacher told the trio, which is pretty tragic. Vincent Crabbe. Vincent Crabbe is the very opposite of an unsung hero. He was born in 1980 and died at the age of 18 during the Battle of Hogwarts in 1998, killed by the Fiendfire that he set loose. And by the way, he was the one who died in the book, while Goyle was the one who died in the movie. For this video though, we are going by the book, so it was Crabbe who died. Lavender Brown. Her death wasn't fully confirmed, but it was very heavily applied in the novel. Lavender was born in 1980, and she was killed by the werewolf Fenrir Greyback in the final battle in 1998. She, like Crabbe and Regulus, was only 18 years old. Merrit be Gone. The mother of Lord Voldemort himself was born way back in the year 1907, and she died the day she gave birth to Tom Marvolo Riddle on December 31st, 1926, meaning she was just 19 years old. Now we get to characters that died in their 20s. Fred Weasley. We're starting the 20s off with possibly the saddest death in the entire series. Fred was born on April 1st, 1978, which is a detail that I actually love because that means that Fred and George were born on April Fool's Day. But Fred died on May 2nd, 1998 when a wall next to him exploded during the Battle of Hogwarts, meaning he died at the age of 20. James Potter. Harry's parents were one of the main reasons why I wanted to make this video. The film made them be in their 40s, but in reality, they were much younger, which made their deaths even more tragic. James was born on March 27, 1960, and died on October 31, 1981, meaning he was just 21 years old. It's crazy to think that he was just 1 year older than Fred when he died. Lily Potter. Meanwhile, Lily was born on January 30th, 1960, and also died on October 31st, 1981, meaning she was also 21 years old. This makes Harry going into the forest in the Deathly Hallows even more significant, because he's very close to his mother and father's age. I actually made a post on Twitter, or X, about this. I said, if you remember that James Potter only lived to the age of 21, people probably stopped saying that Harry looked like his dad by the time he reached his mid-20s, because no one knew what James looked like after that. So tragic. Nymphadora Tonks. Nymphadora was born in 1973, and she died during the final battle at Hogwarts on May 2nd, 1998, being killed by her aunt, Bellatrix Lestrange. When Nymphadora was killed, she was just 25 years old and left behind a newborn baby. And now we move to characters that died in their 30s. Leta Lestrange. Leta was born in 1897, and she died when she was killed by Gellert Grindelwald in September of 1927, meaning she was exactly 30 years old. Credence Barebone. Going over another character from the Fantastic Beasts films, we have the son of Aberforth Dumbledore. Credence was born in spring of 1900, and he died in 1932, meaning he was 32 years old. This is actually astonishing considering that he was an Obscurial. Most Obscurials die between the ages of 10 to 15, as we saw with Ariana Dumbledore. So Credence living to 32 was a crazy feat. Sirius Black. Sirius was born on November 3rd, 1959, and went to Hogwarts being part of the Marauders gang in the 1970s. He was the second of the group to die following James, being killed by his cousin Bellatrix Lestrange on June 18th, 1996, meaning he was just 38 years old. Interestingly, Gary Oldman, the actor that played Sirius, was born only 1 year before his character, being born in 1958. However, considering that his character died in 1996 and the film took place in 2007, he was 11 years too old to play a book-accurate Sirius during the time of his death. Another example of the movies hiring actors that were much older. Dirk Cresswell. I was surprised that such a minor character had a confirmed birth and death date, but Dirk was born in 1960 and died in March of 1998, meaning he was 38 years old when he was killed by Snatchers while on the run. Peter Pettigrew. Pettigrew was born in 1960 and died in March of 1998, killed by the silver hand Voldemort had given him after his loyalty to the Dark Lord wavered. When he died, he was 38 years old. Yet again, the actor they hired for the movies was much older, Timothy Spall being 15 years too old for a book-accurate Pettigrew when the character died. I also really wish the movies actually showed his death, but instead we just got him comically being stunned, which I always hated. Tom Riddle Sr. We already went over Lord Voldemort's mother, but now it's time to go over his father. He was born in 1905, 2 years before Merope, and he died in August of 1943, killed by his own son. Voldemort took his father's life when Tom Riddle Sr. was just 38 years old. Remus Lupin. Remus was the final member of the Marauders friend group to die, being born on March 10th, 1960, and he died 38 years later on May 2nd of 1998 during the final battle. Not to beat a dead horse, but David Thewlis, who played Lupin, was another character who was much too old, as he was 10 years older than the character he was playing at the time of his death. Also, I knew that Remus and Tonks had a big age gap in their relationship, but I was surprised that it was a whole 13-year age difference. That's a pretty big gap. Severus Snape. Snape was yet another character that died at the age of 38. That's 6 characters in a row that died at this age, which is pretty wild. Snape was born on January 9th, 1960, and died on May 2nd, 1998, when Voldemort killed him during the Battle of Hogwarts. The late Alan Rickman will always be remembered for his role as Severus Snape, even though he was 27 years older than his character at the time of his character's death. Now we move to characters that died at the age of 40 or older. Kendra Dumbledore. Kendra, the mother of Albus, Ariana, and Aberforth, was born in 1851, and she died in June of 1899, killed by her daughter when she was 48 years old. Ariana couldn't control her magic, which caused her to make an explosion that took Kendra's life. This left Albus to take care of his younger brother and sister, which eventually led to the events that took Ariana's life. Broderick Bode. This was another character that was so minor, I was shocked we actually had a confirmed age for him. Broderick was born in 1946, and he was murdered in January of 1996. Considering he was killed in January, he had not yet had his birthday in 1996, meaning he died at the age of 49. His murder was one of the most unique murders in the series, as he was silenced by Death Eaters who used the Devil's Snare plan to kill him while he was in the hospital, ensuring he didn't talk before he got his memory back. Aragog. Aragog the Acromantula and pet/friend of Rubeus Hagrid was born in June of 1943 while Hagrid was at Hogwarts, and he died of old age in April of 1997, dying at 53, just barely missing his 54th birthday. Mary Riddle. The grandmother of Lord Voldemort was struck down by her grandson himself in August of 1943. Considering that she was born in 1883, she died at the age of 60. Thomas Riddle. Thomas Riddle was born in 1880, and he died alongside his wife and son who Voldemort murdered in August of 1943. He was 3 years older than his wife, meaning he died at the age of 63. Tom Riddle, aka Lord Voldemort. And then we have Voldemort himself. He was born on December 31st, 1926, and he died during the Battle of Hogwarts on May 2nd, 1998. He was just 71 years old. This is actually pretty hilarious, considering that he spent his life trying to conquer death and live forever, only to die at the age of 71, which is young for muggles, much less wizards who can live 100 plus years. The irony. Frank Bryce. Adding yet another character to the Riddle murders, Frank, the caretaker of the Riddle House, who was also a war veteran in the Muggle world, was born in August of 1917, and he died on August 16, 1994, meaning he was 77 years old when he was murdered by Lord Voldemort during the events of the Goblet of Fire. Ignotus Peverell. Ignotus was one of the three brothers part of the Peverell family, and the family that was synonymous with the Deathly Hallows. We don't have a confirmed birth and death date for Antioch and Cadmus, but we do for Ignotus. Ignotus was born on July 12, 1214, and he long outlived his two younger siblings. He used the invisibility cloak to hide, and when he was ready, he greeted death like an old friend at the age of 77, just barely missing his 78th birthday when he died on May 19, 1292. This seems young to greet death, especially for a wizard, but I guess he had done everything he needed to do in his lifetime, including having a son and passing the invisibility cloak down to him, which would eventually make its way to his descendant Harry Potter. Mycoo Gregorovich. The Wandmaker Gregorovich was born in the year 1909, and he was killed by Voldemort while the Dark Lord was looking for more information about the Elder Wand on September 2nd, 1977. He died at the age of 88. Albus Dumbledore. Dumbledore was born in August of 1881, and he died as the first character on this list to surpass 100 years. He was killed on June 30th, 1997, Albus having planned his death, instructing Severus Snape to kill him. Dumbledore just barely missed his 116th birthday, meaning he died at the age of 115. Gellert Grindelwald. Grindelwald, the tyrant second only to Voldemort, was killed by Voldemort himself in March of 1998. Considering he was born in 1882, he died 1 year older than Dumbledore, being 116 years old. He died protecting Albus from Voldemort, refusing to divulge that the wand was buried with his old friend and lover. The film did the complete opposite though, having Grindelwald actually betray Dumbledore, which is honestly one of the worst things the Harry Potter films ever did in my opinion. Armando Dippet. Armando was the headmaster of Hogwarts before Albus Dumbledore, and this one shocked me. To be honest, I think his age is wrong, or some mistake was made. According to some official books that extend Harry Potter lore, it says that he was born in the year 1637, and that he died in the year 1992, meaning he would be 355 years old when he died. This just doesn't seem possible to me, unless he had something like a Horcrux that would have been destroyed because he died, or if he had an elixir that could keep him alive, but there's no mention of him ever having that in canon. And on top of that, this would mean that he didn't take on the role of headmaster until he was over 200 years old. So take his age of 355 with a grain of salt. But I felt I had to add it because technically it is an extended lore that is meant to be canon. Nicholas Flamel. Moving to somebody who actually did use something to keep him alive longer. Flamel, the creator of the Philosopher's Stone, or if you're from America, the Sorcerer's Stone, used the elixir of life inside of the ruby rock to keep himself alive until he was in his late 600s. Perenelle Flamel. Nicholas Flamel's wife also used the elixir from the stone, and she too lived into her late 600s. And finally, the longest living being in the entire Harry Potter series. The Basilisk. The Basilisk was created around the formation of Hogwarts, which was all the way back in 990 AD. It then lived until Harry Potter killed it with the Sword of Gryffindor in 1993, meaning he lived 1003 years. It was able to do this because basilisks can go into a deep sleep that stops them from aging. So theoretically, the basilisk could have lived for many more thousands of years. But that is how old every Harry Potter character in the series was when they died, at least the characters that we know. Let me know if there were any ages that shocked you, because there were a few that really shocked me. With that, I will sign off. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video.